So you've heard everybody talking about this mythical EPC and WIS. What is it exactly? Well, in my case, it's a 2012 version of the software that dealerships used to run, which has the electronic parts catalogue and also the workshop information system. And what the workshop information system is basically a catalogue of all of the available service manuals for a particular model. In the case of these older cars, there is some information that's missing. Unfortunately, most of the documents were hand scanned back in the day of archiving, and with the technology of the day, some of the images are exceptionally poor quality, especially when you're talking about the 126s, unfortunately. A lot of those documents are barely even usable because whoever was scanning them didn't even bother to scan them correctly or straight. Many of them are severely skewed, and the image quality, as mentioned, is completely terrible. Um, extremely low resolution, wiring diagrams are barely legible. You can't read the legends or the wiring identifications on many things. 124, fortunately, is reasonably okay. But anyway, if you go ahead and get a later version of this software setup, they began to purge all of the older cars out of it anyway, so it's probably not even worth getting. As I said, this is the 2012 version. I set this up from scratch myself on my own virtual machine, my own licensed copy of Windows XP. Not that that matters anymore, it's no longer supported. And this software you can get from the likes of eBay, possibly still already set up on a virtual machine that you don't have to do any configuration on. I know that someone has bought a setup like that, but yeah, I know how to do this stuff, so I don't need to do that. This is not even running on my local machine, it's running on my NAS drive on my network, so I can access it on both of my Macs without any issue. I don't run it at the same time, just in case that causes an activation error with Windows XP. But yeah, it just works flawlessly, and it has ever since 2012. And this is a brand new i9 Mac, and it still hasn't caused any activation issues with Windows XP from back when I was running a Mac Mini in 2012. I have seen activation errors on XP and virtual machines when the host operating system hardware is vastly different, so it does happen. In any case, enough of my blathering. I'll show you what you can find in the EPC. I'll just put in the generic 124031 VIN for my cars. If you're ever looking for part numbers, this is absolutely brilliant. It's better than using the rubbishy web-based ones online, because yes, you can put your entire VIN in there, and when it knows what is peculiar to your car, it will give you the correct part number, whereas the web-based ones, you're not guaranteed of that happening. It's just going to give you all of them, and you got to work it out for yourself or hope for the best. Some items do have many different versions based on the market that they went into. So we can go ahead and look at the KE Jetronic. Here's an example, this breather hose here. Yeah, there's the part number. I can add it to my shopping list. I can add an EHA valve to my shopping list. Or what the hell, let's order the whole airflow meter. Not that that's available anymore, I'm sure. And if you happen to be some kind of a fool and think that you've got a hot wire airflow meter or electronic kind of throttle body like on the later cars, it won't allow you to add that. It just says item is not valid for this model designation. Oh yeah, and an injector rail. I assume that's for the 990, or it could be for the other version as well. But yes, it's very useful if you want to order various bits and pieces for your car. Not only from the dealership, but you can go on eBay or Amazon, whatever your choice is, and find the particular part number that you're looking for without having to just put in random descriptions. Everything's there. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for MB. A lot of this stuff is no longer available anyway, but anyway, it helps if you need to order something secondhand. So that is the EPC. Now that you know what that is, I'll show you the WIS. We don't want to save changes. So my previously used VIN will be saved in here as well. They will continue to be saved in there unless in the EPC there's a red cross on the side here if you want to delete that VIN. So you don't have to see it every time you open it up. You can get rid of it. But the cross is not there on the WIS, on this version anyway. And when you put in a valid VIN, you can also bring up the data card here in the WIS, and that shows you all of the option codes for your car and also the supplementary assembly numbers. Those are useful if you've got a peculiar version that has market-specific options that aren't on the standard 124. You can actually search by SA number in the EPC and find out all of the part numbers that are specific to that SA number as well. Yeah, it just wants to know about transmission types from memory. Oh yeah, transmission and steering types. Who cares? So we're going to look at engine timing, just for example. I can't even read this because it's so small. Okay, there's nothing. Oh yeah, just an example. Removing and installing the chain tensioner. So it's actually got all of your jobs and how to do them in here. One that everyone's interested and keeps asking questions about is KE Jetronic. There's no need to go searching out poorly spoken, bad English videos on YouTube to find out KE Jet information. If you've got this WIS set up, you've basically got... Oh, I can't even read it. Hang on a second. Yeah, because I've got a 5K display and I'm recording this at 1080p. This is like a postage stamp size on my screen. And my 40-year-old eyes are struggling to read what is on the screen here. Mixture formation, I think that's what that says. Yeah, that's correct. The specification of the vehicle is incomplete. Oh yeah, who cares? That's because I haven't put the whole VIN code in there. Test program electrics. Much of the diagnostics stuff and locations of which are all mentioned in here. And KE Jetronic, all of the tests. Not that I can see it, unfortunately. I can't sit any closer to the screen because the microphone is in the way. Talks about the EZL, how to test that as well. Basically, every part of the car, there is a service manual document on it. There are some things that are missing, unfortunately. But yeah, you can't help that. They obviously just didn't archive everything back in the day. So in some situations, having the old-fashioned paper manual is still going to be worthwhile. Because I know they should have everything in them. Removing and installing the coolant temperature sensor. Well, that's not exactly rocket science. I don't know why they need to have an instruction for that, but I guess What does it say? Does it even give you a torque rating? No. It talks about reading out and erasing the fault codes in the KE Jetronic ECU. Very exciting stuff there, and all of that is described in here as well. But anyway, the point of this is it shows you what you're missing out on if you don't have the EPC and the WIS. It's a very handy resource for the older model Benzes. Pretty much essential for the newer versions. They don't interest me, so I don't have the newer version software, because I know you can do a lot more with that and the other associated software for talking to the car and whatnot. Those packages are available on eBay with the appropriate interface boxes and whatnot as well. If I ever own a newer Benz, I will definitely go down that track, because that's the kind of thing that does interest me. Unfortunately, the car doesn't, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, if you didn't know what WIS and EPC was, now you do. And if you can go hunt out the software and install it yourself. Even if you've got an old Windows XP computer, you can probably just not even bother with the virtual machine. If the specs are half decent, it doesn't require anything overly impressive. It will just run on an old Windows XP computer you've got lying around and are probably planning to throw in the bin. So give it a second chance. Set it up in your workshop with a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse, and get spannering on your 124 or 126 or whatever the hell you're working on watching this video.